3 unsuspecting foods that can heal your gut. Hi there, I'm Reese. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, here's what you're going to learn. 3 cheap foods that you can eat every single day that will help you heal your gut lining and improve your gut bacteria. We're going to discuss the #1 food that you can eat after you've had antibiotics to replenish that gut bacteria. I'm going to show you a simple food that is normally only available for about 1 month every year to make sure you can stock up on it and improve your gut health. I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily consume large amounts of this food to replenish your gut. It's almost like cheating. And finally, we're going to reveal which foods you can eat so that you wake up with a flat stomach and then go back to sleep with a flat stomach without any bloating during the day. And at the end of this video, we're going to reveal 3 tricks we've never shared before that you can stop bloating in less than an hour. So don't forget to subscribe and follow so you don't miss out on future videos. Food #1. Jerusalem artichokes. Now, not from Jerusalem and actually not an artichoke, but this fantastic food can help you fix your gut bacteria. A Jerusalem artichoke, also known as a shunchoke, is a powerhouse for your gut bacteria and is essential in fixing your gut health. You see, the bacteria that live inside our system, they dwarf our human cells by up to 10 to 1. So for every 1 human cell you have, there are 10 bacterial cells that need feeding. And those bacteria, they don't eat the same things we do. They eat the fiber from our vegetables, and Jerusalem artichoke contains some very specific fiber that our gut bacteria love. It's called inulin. Now, inulin is what we call a prebiotic, and prebiotics are the food that feed the bacteria inside your system, and they're also the things that you should normally take alongside probiotics to help them grow. In fact, I would probably argue that if you're taking probiotics without sufficient prebiotic foods or prebiotic powders, then you're probably wasting your time because it probably won't grow. Now, 100 grams of Jerusalem artichoke gives you around 16 to 20 grams of inulin, which is a huge dose. Now, I do not recommend going in with 100 grams of Jerusalem artichoke. You'll get really bad bloating, and I mean really bad bloating. So I would recommend you start off with a very low dose of Jerusalem artichoke and then slowly build it up over time as you increase your tolerance and as you ferment those foods with your gut bacteria. Now, they taste a little bit like a potato, so what I would normally do is swap the potato out for those Jerusalem artichokes whenever they're in season. But again, do not just make a 1-to-1 swap from potato straight to Jerusalem artichoke, otherwise you will be gassing all day long. Next up on our powerful food list is the humble banana. Now, whether it's yellow or green, the banana is especially important to improve your gut bacteria. Now, bananas contain something called resistant starch, and resistant starch is absolutely fantastic to help grow certain types of bacteria to improve your gut health. Now, these bacteria, they will eat that resistant starch and create what we call short-chain fatty acids, which have 2 main purposes. One, they feed other bacteria inside your system, keeping everything healthy. We call that cross-feeding. And the second thing that they do is they produce compounds that actually feed the lining of the cells inside your digestive tract. That's how the food can help you heal your gut. Now, alcohol and antibiotics, bad foods like ultra-processed food, high levels of stress, all of these things go towards damaging your gut bacteria. So if you've ever been exposed to any of those, especially large doses of antibiotics or antibiotics for a long period of time, it's essential that you add some of these foods back in to help replenish and rebuild some of those bacterial levels that will now probably be low. And low levels of bacteria have been linked to all forms of disease, from Alzheimer's to heart disease to cancer to diabetes. Basically, if you have a chronic disease, then you have a problem with your gut bacteria. Now, when you're trying to incorporate these bananas in, you have to note 2 things. 1, the less ripe they are, the more starch they contain, so the better it will be for your gut bacteria. However, if you have really poor gut health, you might want to start with bananas that are more ripe because they'll contain more fructose and less starch. That means they're going to be easier for you to digest. If your gut health is really poor, going in and eating straight 2-3 really unripe bananas is going to give you a lot of bloating because you're going to get the over fermentation and you won't be able to break it down properly. So what I normally recommend you do is start with bananas on the riper scale and then slowly transition over time to ones that are more green and that are ones that contain more resistant starch. Before we get to the last food, remember to stay until the end because we're going to reveal 3 simple tricks that you can use to reduce bloating within just an hour. For this final food we're going to talk about today, it has one of the shortest eating seasons in England. So when we have them, I recommend eating as much as humanly possible in a really short period of time. I believe, like everything else we eat, we should be eating seasonally. So when these are available and when they're in season, I want you to eat as many as you can, breakfast, lunch and dinner, and go for it. And then when they're not in season, I probably eat something else. By eating seasonally, we can improve something called our bacterial diversity. That's the different types of bacteria that live inside our gut. Now, we know that bacterial diversity is a really, really important marker of health. There's a lot that we don't know about the microbiome still, and there are studies that come out every single week. But one thing we do know is having a higher level of diversity protects you from all disease and definitely helps feed the different types of bacteria that live inside your system. So did you guess it yet? That food is actually asparagus. So whether it's a white one, the green one, or even the purple asparagus, this food is very high in inulin and definitely helps feed some of the more beneficial bacteria inside your system. Not only that, asparagus is a heavy sulfur containing compound which does multiple things inside the body and is super useful. So you'll also notice that when you eat asparagus, sometimes your urine smells really bad, and that's from people who struggle to break down some of the sulfur compounds in the asparagus because they have a gene mutation. Fully normal, I wouldn't worry about it. Now, some people definitely struggle to digest green vegetables. What we normally recommend with the clients that we work with is that you start off by really overcooking them. Think baby food. You want them to be almost mushy. That way they're going to be easier for you to digest because you've broken down some of the cellulose, which is the plant fibers that we don't digest with our human cells. As your digestive system improves over time, you will be able to break those down better, and as your gut bacteria gets better and you become healthier, then you won't need to cook them as much. So I'd say anything that's raw and green is especially hard to digest. The more you cook it, the more you break down the fibers, and the easier it will be for you to digest. Now, I know personally, I never used to be able to eat a lot of green vegetables. I used to have to do what I call the mum method, where you boil the life out of them. But as my digestive system has improved over the years, I can now almost eat them raw if I wanted to, with no digestive upset. So please be aware that sometimes it may take you a little while to get to that point where you can eat pretty much any vegetable without having any problems, but you might need to adjust it in the short term to improve your tolerance. Now, I promise to give you 3 tips to improve bloating, so here they are. Number 1, make your meals last at least 15, possibly 20 minutes. Remember, the more you chew, the easier time your stomach has to break food down. And if your stomach acid is sufficient, it doesn't have to work as hard, then your pancreatic enzyme production is better. The bile release from your gallbladder is better. And all of that digestive process after the stomach works much better when you slow right down and make sure you chew your food as much as possible. Number 2, be very careful with foods that are dairy or contain gluten, anything bready. So dairy and wheat containing foods that contain gluten contain some heavy proteins like whey and casein, gliadin and glutenin, which are very difficult for people to break down. And in my experience, when people eat those foods, they are 2 of the biggest causes of bloating. So remember, reducing your dairy consumption and your gluten consumption can definitely help improve bloating very quickly. Eating breakfast like a king and dinner like a pauper is a fantastic way to improve your digestion and reduce bloating. Your stomach acid production is better in the morning than it is in the evening. Remember, when it goes dark, when the sun goes down, your digestive process slows down. Our digestive enzymes, and especially our stomach acid production, is highest in the morning. It would be better for you to consume more of your food in the morning than it would be late in the evening. Now, to really get the most out of these vegetables that we've been talking about today, you need to have high levels of 2 specific bacteria called bifidobacteria and lactobacillus bacteria. The problem is, almost every time I run a stool test for somebody, they don't have any bifidobacterium levels, or they're extremely low. Now, if you want to know how to build up your beneficial bifidobacterial levels, we're going to talk about this in videos coming up, so make sure you subscribe and follow along, where we're going to show you exactly what you should eat and exactly which pre and probiotics you can take to help build up those essential bifidobacterial levels.